Hello, my name is Thomas and today I've got two low-budget standard lens options for your Fuji X-mount camera with me. The one is the Tokina 33mm f1.4 with autofocus. It's basically the same as the Viltrox 33mm lens. And then I've got the venerable TT Artisan 35 f1.4 to compare. So let's have a go. So these are two of your most budget-friendly standard lens options for Fuji X-mount. The TT Artisan brand new is less than 80 euros currently, steel. And the Tokina or the Viltrox, you will more likely encounter the Viltrox version of that lens. It's about 300 something, I think 320 or so brand new. But if you shop around used, you can easily find them below 200 euros. Still, it's like 2.5 times the price of a brand new TT Artisan. But it's not like you can get autofocus lenses cheaper for your Fuji X-mount camera. Maybe the Fujinon 35 f2 XC is a little bit cheaper, but that's just an f2 lens. That's maybe a bit boring. So there is a price difference, but both these lenses are very, very affordable. Tokina 33 f1.4. It's a nice clean barrel design. You've got a stepless aperturing, and that's one of my complaints. It has some resistance to move, and also frankly it would be nicer with steps. Now I know the video guys say stepless aperturings are cool, but the fun fact is, even though it's stepless when you operate it, the aperture will still click in half stops, so you will see it in your footage. So that it is stepless doesn't make any sense. This is the focus ring. It's of course focused by wire. It's not directly connected to the internals of the lens, and the lens itself has an internal focus. That means whatever you do, the outside of the lens doesn't change in length or anything. It's a pretty modern lens design. It's a real big difference to the TT Artisan f1.4. Fit and finish is very nice. There's a lot of metal parts on the outside. I'm not sure about the internals. And here you see the typical Fuji contacts. And what's fun, you see this small plate here? This is where some of these lenses have a USB port. I know that several Viltrox lenses have it, and it's meant to update the firmware. This lens doesn't have it, and I think some of the Viltrox lenses also don't have it. It might have to do with when they are manufactured. I want to take a picture of the elephant. Now let's do the same with the autofocus lens and see how much faster that goes. That was quick, right? That's if you're used to shooting manual focus lenses, autofocus is always super quick. But having said that, the autofocus performance of this lens is pretty quick. It doesn't maybe match the most new Fujinon 33 f1.4, but it's certainly quicker than the old 35 f1.4. The TT Artisan 35, I already made a review video about it, but in short, it's an all-metal, fully manual lens. It's got a clicked aperture ring here in the front, and it's got focus ring, focuses down to 0.25 meters. I have to check actually how close the Viltrox lens focuses. I will put it in the video. It's not internal focus, it's a really like a lens designed from the 1960s or 70s. And if you mount or unmount it, you have these small grippy bits here because it's a tiny lens, and you see there's no electric contacts or anything. So it doesn't communicate with your camera. If your camera's got IBIS, you have to enter the focal length of the lens somewhere in your camera menu to make the IBIS work. Characteristic of all manual lenses. And in contrast to the Viltrox or Tokina, you see how much smaller the lens is. In terms of weight, the difference is not that huge. They're both pretty lightweight lenses. Let's do the brick wall test and check out distortion of the two lenses. The Tokina version of this lens doesn't come with a correction profile. That means your RAW and JPEG files are not automatically corrected as with most autofocus lenses. That is the difference to the Viltrox version of this lens. That does come with a correction profile. That means you don't see the distortion when you open the files because someone already applied the distortion correction automatically. On this lens, you have to do it yourself. In terms of distortion, the characteristics of these two lenses are completely the opposite. The Tokina lens displays some pincushion distortion. That means the sides look a little bit like this, curved inwards. -4 to 5 in Lightroom will cure this, so it's not a huge amount of distortion. And the TT Artisan has the more common barrel distortion. That means the lines are a bit like that. And again, +4 to 5 will cure it in Lightroom. So in both cases, yeah, it is a visible distortion. I find that a little bit of a letdown for a plain standard lens. Most of those designs are without any distortion, but you can surely live with that very well. And again, if you're shooting the Viltrox version, the 33 f1.4, you won't see the distortion at all because there is a profile that is applied to the RAW and JPEG files, so it's automatically corrected. Let's do a brick wall test for sharpness. So I'm shooting from 1.4 to f5, and then we see about central sharpness and also in the corners of the frame. Let's check color fringing. So I'm shooting at open aperture, the badge of this car. So in this weather you maybe don't see it that much, but when it's sunny or you're shooting in a forest, you know, leaves against the background and bright sky, especially the Tokina 33 shows some color fringing when open. When you close down, they're both fine, but at open aperture I found that Tokina is a bit prone to bright color fringing. In terms of bokeh, there is also a difference between the two lenses. Just look at the sample shots and compare for yourself, but you will see that the TT Artisan is a little bit more, yeah, shall I say, classic performance. It has a little bit of this swirly look going on because there is more geometric distortion, because the front lens element is smaller, and the Tokina or Viltrox lens is a bit more neutral in that regard. Time for the verdict. The question is really, do you want to go manual focus, or do you want to live with the nicety and the comfort of autofocus? I think both have their advantages. I found myself, I'm shooting manual focus lenses all the time, but now that I'm finally shooting an autofocus lens again, of course it's much more convenient at times, especially when you're traveling with someone. You don't have the time to just compose and focus a lot. All your friends are standing around and, hey, why isn't that going quicker, or something like that. Then an autofocus lens just makes sense. If you take a little bit more time for your photography, then manual focus is very, very rewarding. So maybe you want both of that. And that's again the good thing. You maybe always want to have an autofocus lens for your Fuji camera, but if you want to go manual focus, then the TT Artisan, for example, is so cheap. It's just a no-brainer. Just go for it, and I'm sure you will love it. Apart from that, when it comes to the optical performance, I found both these lenses are very nice. The Tokina has a little bit of a problem with color fringing sometimes, but it's not too bad. And really, you can correct in your RAW converter if you really don't like it. Don't expect perfection from any of these two lenses. If you want optical perfection, which I personally find very boring, you maybe have to go for the Fujinon 33 f 1.4, but then you're looking at, I think, around 1,000 euros. So I wouldn't do that, frankly. Sharpness is very good on both lenses. f5.6 takes you super crisp landscape shots. There is absolutely no complaint, and even at open aperture where you focus, the sharpness is very good in the broader center. I also don't see any complaints there. And in bokeh they have a little bit of a different characteristic, but again you can take gorgeous shots with both lenses. So overall, it's just a question of how much money you want to spend and if you want autofocus or manual focus. And that's it for today. I hope you found this useful and interesting. If you did so, then please leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. I appreciate your support a lot, and also hit the small bell button for notifications. And in case you've got any questions or comments, write something in the comment section below. I love to read all your comments and I will happily answer every single one of them. You know that. So I hope you have a great time, live long and prosper, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.